Just had to put in all the right settings. So, welcome to our today's streaming lesson. And for those who haven't joined me in the stream, also Happy New Year again to you all. That's just my sound here. And and yeah, so as said, welcome to today's streaming lesson. I'm just gonna wait a few seconds for you guys, since if somebody is gonna join here, so we don't have to uh, redo anything. So let me just give you guys a minute before we start with our trial lesson for today, so you can see what our courses will be about. Of course, this is just a little sneak peek for you guys, but I think you will get a good idea of what this will be about. And yeah, I'm just making sure that everything's running smoothly here. That looks really good to me. And I think that we can almost start. Give me just a few seconds, guys. Just putting some liquid on my voice so it's better to hear. And yeah, chat is ready, so I think we just gonna start it now. And yeah, enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer everything, of course. So fire right away whenever you're not sure about anything. But other than that, just enjoy what you're listening and take some notes if you want to, especially if you're a complete beginner, maybe, uh, because I think our like you will see throughout the presentation throughout this lesson why our course is a good choice for you, especially as a beginner. Or as an intermediate, and if you want to get deeper into the whole poker stuff. So let's start. And I said, make sure just to see all the information about our great course we are offering you. But I think if you join now, you will stay until the end anyway. Let me adjust the camera a little bit, by the way, so you get to see me completely. That looks good. So, common problems. Just so you know what this will be about, I said. So, when you start, you probably have some questions for yourself. You are asking which tournaments are better for me? How much money do I really need? Where should I really play? So you don't know where to play. Um, how do I work with software? When you saw me maybe play, or you saw other streamers play, or you heard from other players who do it professionally, they use a lot of software. How do I get it? How do I use it? And where in general can I find useful information, and yeah, can I just grow faster and become a profitable player as fast as possible? Because of course you kind of don't want to wait 3 4 years to make money. The best thing would be to just make money right away. Sorry again for the coughing. And I will just start with everything now and then answer all those questions piece by piece. So first ask yourself, why are you even playing poker? Yeah, there's mostly two different things what the reason is why you play poker. So first, it's for entertainment purposes, or it's for income purposes. So when you do it as an entertainment stuff, you need to be sure about it. So admit it and don't worry about it. You just want to have fun playing poker. Maybe, you're not going to meet friends or going out for a party on a Friday night, and then you think, cool, I'm just going to play some online poker, have nothing else to do. Let me just deposit 20, 30, 50 bucks and play one or two tournaments. If it works out, cool. If not, don't need to worry. So just play like as actually like play as you want, have some fun. I don't know, have a beer with it. You can even play some home games if you have the right software to do it. So you can just play online with some friends if you don't have chips available in the lab for a live game, for example. Just make sure you don't play for your last money. So poker is a hobby. And it should be treated as one in that case if you do it as entertainment. So if you play tennis or if you play football or whatever, you have to pay like a monthly fee to the club. So you can only do that when you can afford it. Same goes for poker. So if the decision is either I can use the 50 bucks and get something to drink and to eat, or I use it to play poker, but then I don't have anything to eat and to drink, then of course go for drink, go for the groceries, right? So just do it like when you have some money to spare. I mean, you can also start playing 10 cents, 25 cents tournaments. So you can also just deposit $10, and if you own a PC, if you have internet, then $10 would probably not be that big of a thing for you, and then you can just have fun playing some 10, 25 cents. It doesn't have to be $100 tournaments just because of course you want to win big, but it's not going to happen that fast. So you either can have some fun playing 10-cent tournaments, maybe you win like $2 or $3, so you get out with a good feeling, or you lose it, but then you don't lose as much. So as I already said, just enjoy it, have fun, and yeah, make it a good time. And don't be too mad if you like have a bad beat or something like that. It's gonna happen. That's where poker is also considered a game based of luck in for some ways. Of course, it's a skill game, but there are some things you just can't, where you can't do anything, and then it's up to luck sometimes. If you do it for income, same thing. You gotta admit it. It is your job. So what you need to do is you have to take it seriously. You have to put some work ethic out there, and you have to work on your game. Nobody is born as the perfect poker player. There's stuff you need to study. There's always new ideas coming up how to play poker. And if you only use the idea you had when you started playing like 10 years ago, you're not going to make money today. Or if you are making money, then you're either the best player in the world for 10 years straight, or you are really lucky. Both can be the case, of course, but mostly it tends to be the second part. So make sure to put your work in it, study a lot, talk a lot with players, play a lot, of course, because that's the way where you see you have problems and you can become a better player. Also, second thing where you can distinguish between fun and job is the time you have available. Hi Max, thanks for joining. 2 a.m. Wow, and that's on a is it Monday or Tuesday night then for you? You're behind, right? I'm not so sure right now, but anyway, thanks for thanks for joining. If you have any questions, let me know. So, as said, like when you do it as fun, and as I said, you maybe have a Friday evening where you don't have anything to do or something like that. You have like 2, 3, 4 hours to play, and for that you should maybe just go for sit and goes, multi-table sit and goes, where even the client already or the software already tells you, yeah, this usually goes about 3.5 to 4 hours. So you know how long you will play. Same goes for turbo tournaments. You can look it up in like the history of this tournament, and you see, okay, the the longest time this is gonna go is 4 to 5 hours. I can afford that. I have that time. But if you are a regular player, so if you do it as a job, and you don't have any other job doing it, so it's basically your 9 to 5 job, then you have to put the hours in, and then you can have 10 hours per day where you play, and then you can play regular speed tournaments because those tournaments last between 6 and 10 hours or even longer. My longest tournament I played was, I think, 14 hours when I won it, so I know when it ended. That's why I played it that long. Maybe even some other tournament. I'm not really sure now. Maybe there's been a longer one that I didn't even win at the end. Of course, I made like some day twos in bigger events where in the end you've played longer, but at least you had like a bigger break between it, not only 5 minutes per hour. So make sure that you know that what tournaments to take, because regular speed tournaments, yeah, you do need to have the time for that. And if you start at 8 p.m. and play a tournament for 10 hours, it's gonna last until 6 a.m. and then you probably have to go to work again. So make sure you only start tournaments you can afford time-wise to end or to finish in case you're gonna win it. There's different types of MTTs, multi-table tournaments. It's not only about the speed, so how many or how fast the levels will go by and how big the starting stack is, and so on and so forth, but also different types. So first, you have the freeze-out tournament. That's just a tournament you pay your entry fee one time, you get a stack for that, and you play until you lose all your chips, or you win all of them, and that means you're gonna win the tournament. If you bust, you can't go in the tournament again. That's just gonna be it, and you either have to look for another tournament or your day is over. Then we have the knockout tournaments. Mostly it's now progressive knockout, meaning the bounty on the players are getting bigger um, depending on how many players they already busted. So they can be pretty huge and they're a big factor. Those tournaments are pretty popular right now, and basically it's still the same. You pay one entry fee, you get your chips, but your entry fee will be divided 50% into the prize pool and normal prize pool, and 50% into the knockout prize pool. So, as I said, it's a big factor, and you want to bust as many people as possible because then you're going to earn money. And maybe you can even, let's say it's an $11 tournament or a $10 tournament. Mostly, if you bust 4 or 5 players, you got the money back. And it can be the case that before you make the money, you already won $40, $50 in bounties because you have a pretty good run, you're playing really well, and you bust other players, so you get their bounties. Next up, satellites. Satellites are tournaments where you can qualify for another event. This is differentiated between live and online satellites. For online satellites, you just play a tournament, and if you qualify, so you win a ticket in that satellite, you can play just another online event. This is especially for players with lower buy-ins. You can use it for maybe like the Sunday Million or the Party Poker Million when you usually don't play $100 or $200 tournaments, but you played this $5 satellite and you won your ticket. For live tournaments, it's basically the same. Mostly just the buy-ins are higher because you not only win a seat, so you not only win the ticket, but you mostly get even a package. And the packages consists of the costs for the hotel, for example, and for some traveling costs. So if you have to fly there, or maybe just gas for your car, whatever you need, right? So you get some extra money to spend on the flights, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, let me get to that in a bit when I just finish this one. Because the last one now is a rebuy tournament. So rebuy is different to the freeze out in that case, that when you bust in the tournament, you can just enter it again. You sit on the same table, you pay the entry fee again, and you get another stack. This goes on for some period, and you can a lot of times you just go for as many rebuys as you want. Of course, would be good if you don't need like 10 or 15, because then you will probably need to almost win the tournament to make money. But it is possible. And then when this period ends, you can do an add-on, which again you pay the entry fee and you get additional chips to it. And then from then on, it's again a freeze out, but then the registration is closed anyway. So at the end, then everything is like a freeze out. Um, Now to your question, Max. Late registration. Um, there's pros and cons for that. So if you see about the different types of MTTs now here, for example, I'd say if you play a freeze out or a rebuy, and especially for rebuys, if you don't have that big of a bankroll, it makes sense to late register, because after the rebuy period ends, you can just, you register like a minute before it ends, and then after that, you just pay the add-on. And instead of starting from the first minute, maybe you have to rebuy 3 or 4 times and you can't really afford it, but the price pool in rebuys is pretty good. So you rather go in with a shorter stack, but you saved some money and you know that if you double once or twice, you can make the money still. And then the min payout. So the first payout you can get, the min cash, is already pretty high. Same goes for freeze out. I did that for some time that I registered tournaments really late and then just got in with like 10, 15, maybe 20 big blinds. I know pretty good how to play that stack. So then I just had to double one time. Um, and after that, I already had a stack to make it into the money. Of course, if you register earlier for a tournament, then you can already build up a stack. And instead of going to the bubble phase with like 15 or 20 big blinds, where you know you have to double one more time to make it to the money, you can get there with like 100 or 150 big blinds, be the big stack, and put a lot of pressure on your opponents. So it's always a thing. It always depends on what kind of a player you are. If you like to play deep stack, then I'd say start as early as possible. If you are really good in short stack play, so you know how to push and call perfectly with 15, 10, or 6 big blinds, then go for that approach. However, for knockout tournaments, I strongly suggest to also enter early because, as said, half of the prize pool is put down in bounties. So every player has that small little number above his avatar that tells you if you bust this player, you get a certain amount of money. And if you register really late, already probably like 50, 60% of those players are out. So you miss out on roughly a quarter of the whole buy-in, or at least half of the bounty price pool, if not more. So I think in that case, it is definitely better to go in earlier. If you have any further questions on this, let me know. Let's talk about bankroll management. What is bankroll management? Bankroll management is the way that we manage our bankroll. It's actually self-explaining, but still, I think you get what I mean. It helps us to protect ourselves from losing our bankroll. And I'll give you the examples for this now. In general, if you play normal tournaments, and I'm speaking regular speed, so no turbos, no hyper turbos, then you should have at least 150 to 200 buy-ins of whatever stakes you're playing. If you do that for turbos and hyper turbos, so not only if you mix it up, so maybe you can go for a mixed strategy and go for like 250 buy-ins if you play 50-50, but as soon as you play more turbos or hyper turbos, I would go about having at least 300 buy-ins. So for me, for example, I try to even go for like 400 or 500 buy-ins, and this is for my average buy-in. So let's have an example. I do play $10 tournaments, I do play $20 tournaments, but I also play a lot of $2, $3, $4 tournaments. So my average buy-in would be, let's say, $5. Then, according to our slide now, $5 average buy-in, 300 buy-ins you should have. So you should have a bankroll of at least $1,500. So in that case, even if you have a big downswing, you still have enough money to play in this area for a longer time. And even if you're down to $1,000, for example, you lose a third of your bankroll, you still have 200 buy-ins and you only have to go down to like $3.50 in average buy-in. So you just cut some of the, like all the $20 tournaments, you cut some of the $11 tournaments, and suddenly you're already down to like $3.50 or $4 in buy-ins. That way, because let's be honest, in tournaments, the variance is really high, especially in those big fields, and therefore it's not that easy to make money consistently. And you're gonna have some areas or some time where you're not making money, but you're losing it, even though you play good, you play great, or at least good enough to beat most of the field, but Yeah, it's gonna happen. So keep that in mind. Have at least 300 buy-ins. Maybe, as said, if you have 500 or maybe even 600 buy-ins, that's also completely fine. Just make sure you have enough to have those big swings. You can always check, even, let's say if you only play once a week, then of course you're probably not going to need 300 buy-ins because you just play once, like 4 sessions in a month. So you maybe play, let's go for a bigger session, let's say 150 to 200 tournaments. And if you then have an average buy-in of $5, this means you're going to invest $1,000 per month. If you then have $1,500, you can play at least 1.5 months without winning anything. So keep that in mind. Always think about how much are you playing, how many tournaments am I playing, because if you also then only play five tournaments per session, then you have so many binds. So, and especially if you do it as a fun, you can maybe take more shots and stuff. But in general, again, keep those numbers in mind. Have at least 300 binds for that, and then you should be fine. Now, a little something about me, just so you can get to know me. I'm German. I was born close to Bremen, and I moved to Prague now already, yeah, almost 2 years ago. It's been some time. I moved here in 2018, and yeah, I started playing when I was since the day I'm 18. So basically, now since 2011. I was playing online. It's easy, you sit in front of your laptop, off your PC, whatever you have. You can even do still other things. You can talk to your parents, you can talk to friends, you can watch videos, you can, if you are a master in multitasking, you can even play other games besides that. And what I always liked, or what I still like about online poker, you can have a lot of tournaments open. Now, for example, I'm using 2 screens. I maybe even want to go to 3 screens just because of the streaming stuff, so it's a bit easier with the overview. But basically, I can play 8, 16 tournaments at once. And if I bust one, that's not a problem. I still have 15 other tournaments to go. If you go into a casino, however, you mostly, or there's like a 95% chance that you only play one tournament, because most of the time there's also just one tournament running, especially if you are in Germany or like in the King's Casino in Roswadov, for example. It's really hard to have, or it's not often that there's more than one tournament running, and therefore you can just play that one. And if you bust out in that one, and maybe the re-entry phase is over, you can't enter the tournament anymore, then you're just out of it. And yeah, you're in the casino. You don't want to gamble, you don't want to play roulette, you don't want to play blackjack, because you're just there for poker. And maybe you're not a cash game player, but you still just play MTTs as you do online. Yeah, then what to do? You mostly leave the casino with a sad face. That's why I, as said, with my 2 screens, like to play online. You can have so many things. So you, as you see on the left here, you see I have my Hold'em Manager open. So you have the software running. That kind of also helps you because it tracks everything you play. It tracks every table you're on. It tracks your opponents. It tracks you. So it shows you what you are playing. How often I'm raising, how often I'm 3-betting, how often I'm c-betting, which kind of hands I'm raising, and then if you have, yeah, some kind of a sample size on that, it shows you what you are doing good or what you're not doing good. And by that I mean, if it shows you, for example, that you play 40% of your hands, that is way too much. And if you always lose and you say, well, I'm just so unlucky, but you're probably not, because the even your system shows you that you're not doing well in the end. So gotta work on that. I will go to the software just in a bit. How does online poker work in general? So what is happening? You deposit money on a poker website and you start playing. If it works out for you, if you're doing it professionally, people that pay this money pay for the tournaments they play. They bust before you, you get in one of the top places, you earn money. what are you doing for the software? So why is it even offering you to play poker on their site? They have something called rake. You see that always, when I always talk about $11 tournaments, it's basically a $10 tournament, but you have to pay $1 in fee. That's the rake. You can call it a fee, you can call it rake, whatever. In the end, this is what the poker room gets for providing the services. And by services, I mean so as you see, different poker sites here, because I will talk about them shortly as well. And yeah, when I talk about this, I mean they provide the software itself, they provide protection for your money that you have on their account, protection from bots that can maybe solve the play and then you're gonna lose versus them in the long run. However you play, because they are not human, so they just use the whole power of the internet to kind of win it in the end. Um, and yeah, they make sure that you have a running software and that you just enjoy your time there. And of course, the best possible scenario, that you win some money there. And in the end, the poker sites don't care if you win or lose. They know you pay the rake and they're happy with that. So there's also just no need for them to create certain accounts that run way better than you, or just just always win big amounts of money, because it doesn't give them anything. It would only rather decrease the interest of players to play there, because they say, oh well, this guy is always winning. That account must be rigged, or that account must be a bot, and the software wants that guy to win all the money because he's working for them or whatever. Happened probably with, I don't know, maybe with Fedor Holz. He was winning a lot, but he was just the best player in the world. So of course he's gonna win loads and loads of money because he's the best player. He almost always makes the right decisions. So whatever he does is gonna make him money. And of course he's gonna hold in specific situations where he needed to, and where he got maybe even really lucky, but that happens to everybody. We are just not remembering it because we always think about the bad beats we have. So let me take a little sip here again before I continue. I do a lot of talking. Sites where you can, wait, let me get that camera focus back. There we are, back in shape. So where can you actually play? There's of course more sites than these, but these are the ones that are known the most and that we use as well. So therefore we thought we will talk about those. There's PokerStars, Party Poker, 888 Poker, and GG Poker. What's good about PokerStars? PokerStars is for sure the worldwide mostly, or the worldwide's number one poker software. um, they have a high quality software. It's easy to use. The graphics are great. And yeah, it's just an enjoyable time to play on it. They have big prize pools, so they have big series. Now they had the Winter Series, for example. They have the Scoop, they have the W Coupe, they have the T Coupe, they have the Micro Millions, where you can, especially for the Micro Millions, you just pay a little amount of money and you can win big prizes because they guarantee big prize amounts. Also, they have a wide range of tournaments. I think it's the only site that I know right now where you can just play everything, even stuff like Bedugi or Bedusi, Deuce to Seven, Stud, Raz, whatever. Those are exotic poker variants. If you don't know them, it's not a big problem. You can always read yourself into that, because we all, of course, focus on No Limit Hold'em here. A bit on Pot Limit Omaha, but mostly No Limit Hold'em, and everybody that played poker in their life knows No Limit Hold'em. Sorry, guys. Disadvantages of this site. The average player, because of those big amounts of money you can win, of course, it also draws the attention of the best players. So in average, the players on PokerStars are definitely the best, I would say. Also, because as said, high guaranteed price pools, that means that they also need to get a lot of players into the tournaments. They mostly do that, which means it has a high average field size. So a tournament with $10, like the Sunday Storm that guarantees 250 or 300K, has at least 30 to 40, sometimes 50,000 players. Which as when you play on Party Poker, for example, as we get to that in a bit, you have an $11 tournament. Instead of 300K guarantee, it has 20K guarantee and therefore only 2,000 players and not 50,000. So, I think you get what I mean. Last but not least, the rakeback system is really not good. They're not really offering a lot. For example, for me now, as I live in the Czech Republic, there is a lot of restrictions. I can't play any satellites, and my rakeback basically consists of I have to play a certain amount of tournaments. I have to create some rake. I get points for that. And to be honest, I don't even know how much I have to play. I just see like a line is filling, and at the end, I get a little chest. And out of the chest, I get 60 star coins, which is, I think, 60 cents. And that's it. So I can use that coins. I can even use it to buy some tournament tickets, which is cool, of course. Or I can buy some merchandise from PokerStars, which is nice. But in the end, I just can't, like, it's not a lot. Like, I think I have to have like 25, $30 of rake or something like that, and I get 60 cents. So it's really low. It might be a bit better for players in other countries, but in average, there's better sites for that. For example, Party Poker. What is good about Party Poker? You may have seen, if you're a bit active in the poker scene, you see Party Poker quite a lot now. They have a lot of online pros that they are promoting. A lot of the Twitch streamers are streamers for Party Poker. And yeah, even though they promote a lot, they still don't get that many players. But because they promote a lot and they try to offer bigger prize pools, they get overlays. What does overlay mean? So you pay $10 for the tournament. It has a guaranteed prize pool of $1,000. That means it needs to have 100 players to get this $1,000. If you only have 85 players in this tournament, that means that the players only generated $850. But because they guaranteed $1,000 in prize pool, the software pays $150 on their own, and therefore you play for that money. That is pretty cool because that adds already some value to the buy-in you paid, because you you paid $11 where you thought you have to play 100 players or at least 100 players to win a part of this $1,000 prize pool, but you only have to play $85. So the mathematical chance of you to win is getting higher, and therefore it is better value for you. They're offering better rakeback. It's also, especially if you're a hobby player, I think in that case you don't have to think about rakeback that much. Um, but it's not that much at the beginning. But at least it's definitely more than PokerStars. And if you play some more, I think you can even get up to 40%. Also, as said, because of the overlays, that means the average field size is lower, and the players in general are definitely weaker than on PokerStars. Disadvantages, the schedule is kind of unstable, so what I saw, there's often some changes they do. Sometimes they maybe even change some tournaments because they're not matching the guarantee, or the tournaments are not starting because they don't have enough players. And yeah, the software is, in my opinion, not the best. Also, that some problems with their servers. I do play on Party Poker as on PokerStars, and I will now start playing on GG Poker again, because I played on Natural 8, which is also a different skin, but counts towards GG Poker, but they are not allowed in the Czech Republic anymore. Um, However, so I played on Party Poker, And I had had it happen 2 times now that tournaments were canceled because, yeah, the software didn't work anymore, or as said, the servers broke down in some way. Third side here, 888 Poker. What is good about them? Again, the average field size is really pretty low. It's lower than on Party Poker even, and also the players are fairly weak in comparison to other sites here. What's also pretty cool is that you can qualify for the WSOP, as 888 Poker is one of the official sponsors for the WSOP. So if that's your big dream to go there, play there, and yeah, as on one side, the tournaments are not going to last that long because the fields are smaller. You're not going to win as much money, but you're probably going to win more consistently. And again, you can qualify for the WSOP, and that's a pretty nice thing. Disadvantage here also, guaranteed prize pools, as said, are fairly small because the traffic is not that big, and they, of course, don't want to pay like hundreds of dollars into every tournament just to attract more players because that's how they're going to lose money in the end. Last but not least, GG Poker. Also here, what's pretty cool, and it's basically the same as on Natural 8, what I talked about in our last trial session before the end of the year. Average field size is fairly low. They do get more players, so that might change, but for now, the average field size is fairly low, and they have a lot of players from Asia. So, um, yeah, don't want to sound mean, but the average strength of players from Asia is not that good. Um, as you may have heard, like gambling is even a big problem in Asia, and you can see that on the way they are playing a lot, that they really like to gamble. So if you play good and if you play decent, you definitely gonna win money there. What I really like is they have many events, different competitions. If you're a cash game player, they have rake races. So if you play a certain amount of hands, um, you can enter a competition where you can win a lot of, yeah, where you can win pretty nice prizes. They have a lot of tournament series as well. And as said, they have like a cash game race. They have this all in or fold where you just basically play fold or all in, and then you see the flop, you see the board, and if somebody else clicked all in, yeah, you're going to showdown, and that's it. So, and there you can also they have like a 200k prize pool where if you play 200 hands or something like that for this all in or fold, you can win a part of the prize pool, which is pretty cool. Not my type. I don't play cash game or these Zoom-ish kind of plays, but if players do it, especially cash game players, they can just win quite some money there. And if they're winning anyway and they play a lot of cash game anyway, then why shouldn't they go on that site? Because they get like some extra rake back for what they are playing, which is pretty cool. And as I said, rakeback, they have a pretty good rakeback system. As I said, I just started with GG Poker. They had like also a 200% deposit bonus, which is pretty cool. So whatever I paid, they doubled that as a deposit bonus. And of course, I have to create rake, so I have to play tournaments. Um, and in that case, so I got like a $600 deposit bonus, and I have to create $1,200 of rake. That is quite a lot because every tournament has like 10% of rake. So if you think about it, I have to play tournaments worth of roughly $12,000 to create that much rake, so I can clear the bonus. But every $20 I get $10. This means this is like a 50% rake back on top of the rake back I get, which is normally like 10, 15, 20%. So if you play it that way, you can, for me now with a bonus, you get like up to 60, 70% rake back, which is pretty nice to be honest. Disadvantage though, guaranteed prize pools for all the daily tournaments is, especially for the lower ones, for the bigger ones, to have pretty good prize pools, I feel like. Um, but for the lower tournaments, the prize pools are not that big. Again, average field size is also not that big, which means you're going to win more often, but as said, you're not going to win as much. But that's up to you if you think, okay, I'd rather take my shot on PokerStars and probably bust 8 out of 10 tournaments and then maybe have, after 500 tournaments, have my one lucky hit and win big money. or you play the same amount on a smaller site like 888 or GG Poker, and you're gonna win every 30th tournament because there's always less than 100 players in these tournaments. That's always up to you. Uh, I think you can go in for a small mix and then you'll see. Next up, as I said earlier, it's been a few minutes since I talked about that, but now we're back at it. Software. Um, there are different softwares to use. So first we have the trackers, as I said, Holder Manager, Hand to Note, or Poker Tracker, for example, that tracks everything you do. It shows you your statistics, as said, how often you play a hand, how often you three bet, um, from which position you play, from which positions you play X and X cards, and so on and so forth. That's pretty cool because it gives you a good idea of your playing style and also from your opponents. If you like, once you have maybe 500 or 1,000 hands of an opponent, you have a pretty good idea of what they're doing and you can use that to your advantage. And if there's somebody that's really active, then you know, okay, he's gonna bet anyway, so why should I raise my nuts that I have here? Because he's gonna keep on betting, and then I can just raise on the river, and he's gonna lose way more than when I raise the flop, because then I give him the chance to go out of the hand, right? So yeah, that's one thing that in which way it can help you. Also, it shows you the hands you played, so you can mark them, and then you can have a look at those hands again to see if you played them correctly. For that, you can use calculators or the GTO solvers. GTO means game theoretical optimum, so it's the best way of playing something. For calculators first, as said, you have Flopzilla, you have the Icemizer, for example. It shows you whether your decisions were right or wrong, because that's a software that calculates it and that has been programmed to calculate it in the correct way. So you put in all the data, you put in the chip stacks, you put in maybe the stage of the tournament, whether it's already on the final table or earlier with more players left, and then it just shows you what is a positive expected value or not. For Flopzilla, you can also go through different flops, turns, and rivers, and then see, for example, the equity that hands have in this situation. So you have different ranges. Ranges are the amount of hands that people can have in these situations, and then you can just see, okay, with that hand, I have enough equity to bet here, or I have definitely not enough equity, so I have to bluff here, and this has to work a certain amount of time to because my opponent has to fold, let's say 20% of the time. If he does fold every fifth time, then this is a positive expected value play, so I'm making money with it. About those things, we will talk when we go further in our premium section. So when the next group classes start, they will start from tomorrow. So make sure to check that out. Either you join via the description below on YouTube or click one of the panels on Twitch, and then you can just get into contact with our managers to make sure to join us in the group chats or in the group lessons to talk about those things. Last but not least, however, GTO solvers, simple post-flop, simple pre-flop, for example, actually all the simple XXX stuff. They offer a lot of things, and yeah, as said, they solve the game, so they really show you the best possible way to play a hand. And this means that it's not always do A or do B, but it says do A in 70% of the time and do B in 30% of the time. And then again, you have ranges, so an amount of cards or amount of hands you can have. Let's say queens, kings, aces, ace, king, ace 7 suited, ace 8 suited, and whatnot. And the opponent should only defend in that case tens, nines, eights, and so on. Of course, because it's a game theoretical optimum, this always includes that both players play in the most perfect way. So you cannot expect your opponent or yourself to always do the perfect play. But those solvers just help you to understand what the best way is and why it is the best way to play. And as long as you are able to understand everything, then you will be on a good side. How do I learn poker? I've talked about a lot about it, but how do you really start with it? There are four different things you can go for. First, probably especially some time back, you started with books. So when I started, I actually saw it on TV, but then I also bought a few books to, yeah, to just see what is it about? Is there anything special I need to have? And yeah, books give you a good understanding. There are a lot of explaining books where you just get the basics for everything, and in that way you know how it works, or you get some nice hand analysis from some poker pros that played big tournaments, and they just explain why they do it and why it's a good play or not, which is pretty cool because it gives you some understanding on how to talk about hands. Uh, but yeah, books are outdated pretty fast, so we better switch to the other three things. VODs first, video on demands. Um, Also to that, I would count like streams because streams are getting more and more popular. You see how many players are streaming on Twitch, for example, or on YouTube, as we do on both sides even. And yeah, there it just you can just play or you can just watch somebody play. So they play in front of you and it's only like a 2-3 minute delay and you see what they're doing. And most of the time they even explain perfectly why they are doing it. So you just learn so many things about them. You can even, if they do it as a live stream, you can type something in the chat as a lot of you guys do when I stream as well. And you can ask me questions or talk about a hand. And yeah, then we can even have discussions. This is pretty cool because it gives you a further understanding um, of the game. So if there's, for example, if Ben CB is streaming, I really like that because he explains everything so well, and he just, you know, that what he's saying is true because he studied all this to be that that aware or to be that forward with all these things to tell you the way it is. If you go for more basics, you can, of course, as I said, you watch a lot of YouTube videos. For example, you can watch our videos on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, by the way. Um, and yeah, there you just learn all the basics. So we give you different topics. You just have to watch like 5 or 10 minutes of a video. It's not like you have 3 hours of data in front of you, but it's small pieces, and you can do it. You can do it piece by piece, and in that way you can just learn a lot. If you are more of the reading guy instead of the watching guy, you can go into forums as well. Mostly known here, I'd say 2+2, Poker Strategy and Poker Strategy, for example. In those forums, you can, for example, if you have questions, you just post them and people will answer you. If you have hands where you're not sure, people will answer you. If you post about the hand, give your thoughts, and other people will tell you, yeah, that was a good thought, or well, that wasn't the best thing to do. Maybe you should have thought about this and this. That helps you a lot. Last but not least, you can go for coaches. Just like me, for example, I did that as well when I took it more and more seriously to take a coach, just because you can go directly. So what you can do with coaches is you can either just maybe do an analysis of your data. So use your holder manager and have a look at this, which we did. He showed me some mistakes I was doing where I had some leaks, and he showed me reasons why I'm not winning as much as I do, which was pretty cool. We did live sessions where I just played a hand and he kind of just watched me play, and after that we discussed the hand, which is pretty cool. And yeah, then we just go also through different hands where you see, okay, yeah, coach, I have problems with three bet hands. Can we have a look at a lot of three bet hands, and then just yeah, go through them and analyze them. And by that, you can just put out every question directly. You can have second questions about that. That's kind of hard in forums or in VODs to do because there's some time between putting the question in and getting the answer. Also, if you do live streams, you mostly have at least like a minute or two in between that, and also because the guys are playing there as well, you're not going to get an in-depth analysis of your question, right? So you mostly get some short answers, or you just get like some maybe some advice where to go to find the answers you're looking for. Of course, coaches, if you compare it to the rest, books cost some money, VODs not really, and forums do also don't cost money. Coaches do cost money, and it's not that cheap. But I think, or that was at least my expression out of that at the end, they give you the most value of what you are paying for. That's why we also have all the courses right now, because it's basically as having a coach on your side, but you can play or pause it whenever you want and write something down. That's why there are so many courses out there, and it is working. What are we offering now here? As I said, we have me as individual, like as a coach, I can give you individual classes. If you want, you can just, get me for 4 or 5 hours, whatever you need, for 10, 20 hours. But we also have this course that we're offering, and this is why we do the trial lesson. You see it below me, uh, the course that costs 200 euros. And yeah, in that we have individual lessons and group lessons. For the individual lessons, as said, you have two of them. You have two of them in our code in this group course that is yeah that does is sorry guys is based on the groups. But as said, you also have the individual lessons. And if you want to have furthermore some individual lessons, as said, it will give you a fitting structure because we just we just put it on for every type of player. So as said, if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, or if you're almost close to becoming a pro, um, we can just put you into every different level and then make a structure of what we talk or work on depending on how good you already are. Because of course it doesn't make sense if you're already playing for 5 years and you're almost break even roughly, then you don't need to know about anything about the poker basics. We can go into some further or expert level stuff. But I think you get what I mean here. Um, we will just work on your needs. So as said, if you're a beginner, we work on everything basically, but if you're on an upper level already, we just work on the stuff you need. So as said, you have problems with 3-bet pots. You're not sure what to 4-bet in certain situations. You are struggling with bluffing. You're struggling in late stages of the tournament and you don't know why. For example, that's a lot of stuff you can work about, we can talk about. And also, if you're not aware, if you're not really good with the software, we show you how it works and we give you the best advice to make it possible to work with these softwares in the best way. So you can also study yourself once we are finished. Now, how can you grow? And again, we use me now in a business suit here as an example. Um, as you see, I have roughly played 20,000 tournaments now in my poker career. And when I started, I won one big tournament. That was pretty cool. But then you see, for roughly 9,000 tournaments, so for basically half of it, I was then in a pretty big struggle. So I didn't study at all. I just played when I wanted to, like I didn't have any fixed times, just whenever I did not go out for party, for example, or something like that. And I just knew it was a hobby. I didn't took it seriously in any way. And as you see, I won something here as well. So it's not like, when I was here, I was just going down, so I was going up a bit. As you see here, peaked then, but then it went down quite again. And I didn't really care. I know I was aware I used that money for playing. If it works out, it's cool. I know I'm not the worst player, but I didn't really try to learn a lot. Then we've changed that a little bit, and what I did was studying. So I used Flopzilla, used Icy Miser, I used my Holder Manager, simple pre-flop, simple post-flop, and so on and so forth. And you see the graph goes up. And I said we're now at 19K, going up to almost 20,000 tournaments. And you see, having a pretty nice profit here of like roughly $23,000, $24,000. That's pretty cool. Of course, it's over a long time, and if you like think about when I started taking it more seriously, so this is like in a shorter period, in a way shorter period than this is, as you see, started in 2011. So this is basically like 6 or 7 years, and that's like the last 2 years, more or less. But I think you get the point here. So you see, it just helps you a lot. And of course, you have to drive yourself to do it, and you have to be consistent. And you have an engine that, or a motor in yourself that tells you, okay, I have to do this, I have to study, I have to work on myself, but it works out in the end. So again, as you said, our Academy of Poker course is your solution then. If you want to become a good player, if you want to become a profitable player, make sure to check this one out. We have the group lessons, as said, they start from tomorrow. And besides the trial lesson we had today, where you, as you see, get some basic infos and a little sneak peek of everything, in the group lessons, we will talk about strategy for MTTs, talking about all MTTs and yeah, the best strategies to go for them. We will talk about the basics of poker math. So you know what equity is, you know what fold equity is, you know what odds are, and some really good questions, sometimes even questions that I couldn't answer because I haven't really thought about that. So that's pretty cool, but all in all, I think it helped those guys a lot. And last but not least, we're gonna have a group hand review where you guys just send me some hands, or we go through hands of me where I had maybe some problems, or not, let's not say problems, but some question marks if I did it perfectly or if I made some mistakes. And then I can see how your analytical thinking is here and how you approach different hands. So I think that's pretty cool. And then, as said, we also have the two individual lessons where, nope, it isn't. Hello, Moin Show. This is not pre-recorded. Why would you, why would you think that? I'm always live. Uh, now you got me out of the concept. As said, for the two individual lessons we have at the end, after you had the group sessions, don't worry, where we will talk about again hand reviews, because a lot of times it does happen that players are not willing to share too many hands because they're afraid they're gonna look stupid in some situations, which of course is not a thing because everybody's making mistakes. Uh, and yeah, they just, we do the hand review then in an individual one-on-one basis, and then we can talk about this a bit more openly. Also, we do like, or I'm gonna be a leak finder, gonna go through your database and see your biggest mistakes that we can start working on together in the individual lessons, but then afterwards, of course, also in more individual lessons together. And we can have some live sessions, meaning you play, I just watch you play, and then you always talk about what you are doing, and then we have an instant analysis of the hand, and I will let you know about what I'm thinking here. And last but not least, if you have some more software questions, we will answer those as well. To give you a small overview about, yeah, just the prices for that, we have the 4 online lessons that cost €20 each, and then we have the personal trainings where we have a special offer here that lets it cost only €60 per personal lesson. So that equals €200. And the cool thing is even that, yeah, the the poker room you're choosing can pay for your education. This means you can get the course for free, and all you have to do here, you hit the link in the description below, or if you're on Twitch, click on the one of the panels to get to our website. Get in contact with one of our managers here, and they will explain everything. Basically, it's just about that you play on the site, you create some rake, and after you hit a certain amount of rake, then the course will be paid by the poker room. Uh, this is going to be it for today's trial lesson. Let me know if you have any question of some sort. If not, then I'm just gonna say thank you for tuning in today. If you want, make sure tomorrow and on Thursday we're gonna have our live streaming session again. I'm gonna play multi-table tournaments again on PokerStars, probably Party Poker, and on GG Poker. Hopefully, can win some money back. We had a I played a Sunday session and I had a deep run in the $55. Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, it's gonna get online on YouTube if you want to check that out. We have the video is gonna be available as a VOD, of course. So if you want, you can check that out. But sure, man, make sure it's gonna start at 1 p.m. tomorrow. So whenever you have the time, join. It's gonna be a long stream. The last times I at least played until 8 or 9 p.m. So we'll see how long that goes. I'll hopefully have some deep runs again, and then we'll be streaming even longer. But it's Central European time, yeah. Yeah, Central European time. So one, yeah, what's Eastern Standard Time would be +1 or what +2 hours? I'm not sure right now, but it's Central European time, 1 p.m. exactly. So yeah, then have a good evening, guys. Thanks for tuning in, as said. And then hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Good luck at the tables, and yeah, make sure to check out our course, check out our YouTube or our Twitch, watch our videos, and yeah, we'll see us again in one of the videos or on the stream. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See you.